Get Talking with Colin Thomas from Essential Maintenance and WeWillFixIt Dubai. We're coming to you from the Epic Podcast Studio at the Rove Hotel, downtown Dubai. Curtains are open so we can actually see what's going on. We're going to talk DIY. We're going to talk things that are going on in our lives. We might even get to something on our notes. You never know. So let's go. Let's do it. It's been a while since we've actually sat down and had a discussion.
It's been a couple of weeks, and you know, I was just mentioning off air, this is going to be a therapy session, James.
Okay.
I've had 2 weeks of hell, and on that basis, you are here with your doctor's hat on to try and get me sane again. You might not have noticed, but the preamble that we did before this, have you ever heard me speak that fast before? Just trying to get enough words in.
I did notice you were like lightning. I thought maybe it's coffee. Are you like?
Oh, I'm jacked. Yeah, plenty of coffee this morning.
Every time I walk through Festival City, there's a nice little an espresso desk, and I constantly look at the coffee maker you have.
Yes. I still love it. I still absolutely, utterly love it.
And my wife says, you know, you've told me this before. So every time I walk by, I tell your story about how they sold you on this machine simply by giving you one as a
genius.
Yeah. And she goes, and so I've told her this 7 times. She goes, you know, you've told me this before. I said, I know, but I got to tell you again.
I have the same thing every time that we go for a walk, Natalie and I, and we go past the same Pajero that I sold to a guy like 6 months ago. And it's got to the stage now where I actually actively look in the opposite direction, knowing full well she's going to look at it. And then it's, yeah, I've got it.
I saw a Pajero yesterday. So now I'm constantly aware of the folks who are, you know, driving these things, and that the life is running out on new models coming up. Saw one yesterday with the largest wheels I've ever seen on a Pajero for off-roading.
Okay,
and
a lift.
Quite a bit of a lift, and these wheels were well outside of the wheel wells, and all I kept thinking was, how does that thing turn properly?
Well, it probably doesn't, you know, or handbrake. Mind you, the handbrakes are never that great on a Pajero, to be honest. Yeah, well, normally with the raise, then you can kind of work your way around it. But there's quite a lot you can cut out if you needs be. And I've seen people do.
Oh, really?
That. Yeah.
Just, you know, cut a little bit of the body frame off.
Yes, was it a short wheelbase? Because it's easier with those.
Okay.
But
do you get a lot of people buying the short wheelbase?
No, not many. I've got 2 people looking for them right now, or 2 people who are after them from me. But I had the most ridiculous weekend in the midst of all the craziness where I sold everything I had.
Really?
Everything's gone.
Wow.
It was just nuts. And now this week is all about, right, need to get some more.
Need to get some more, right?
It's no good having a hobby when you haven't got anything focused on it, you know?
I know someone who's driving around in a short wheelbase. I'll have to find out if he's ever looking to get rid of that thing.
Yeah, well...
He really likes it, so...
I've got my eyes on one at the moment. Actually, no, I've already bought 2.
Okay.
That
all on the auction?
No.
No, okay.
None on the auction, actually. One
Stop
one
at a set of
from,
lights and you knock on the guy, hey, you want to get rid of that thing? I'm in the market.
It tends to go the other way around these days, James. I've heard that you are Mr. Pajero. Literally, the emails come.
Do you have another shirt? Like you're wearing the WeWillFixIt shirt? Do you have I'm Mr. Pajero shirt?
I keep that one for when I go to Spain. It means something completely different. And yeah, that one's saved for the holidays. We should get that printed, James, from your guy. That would be amazing. I'd wear that shirt like you wouldn't believe. So yes, it's been epic the past couple of weeks. The family has basically, our health has fallen to pieces.
What's going on with that? What's going on with that?
So
what happened?
Oh man, I don't know where to start really.
Because Dylan has already got the allergies, extraordinary allergies.
Yeah, and then.
But his immune system's usually pretty good. Or is it pretty? I mean, you keep him in check.
We've had years that have been bad. We've had years that have been good. This year had been a really good year, which during COVID we were really happy about. But no, things went really downhill with his chest about 2 weeks ago, and bless him, he ended up in hospital. So we did 3 nights there in Park View, but it all sort of didn't go particularly well, to be honest. They initially thought it was bacterial, and then shoved him on a whole load of antibiotics that didn't work.
And they realized it's viral.
And then they thought it was viral,
Oh.
but then the viral side is odd as well, because he at 16 days he was pretty much at the same stage as he was before. So they just kind of scratched their head and said, let's see what happens next. So then he got better for a week, and then he had an absolute nightmare, and we thought he was going back into hospital. Now he kind of seems as though he is white as a sheet, but back to school yesterday. So after 2 weeks, so that's been quite a classic, to say the least. And then like 3-4 days ago, Natalie went down with a throat infection, and she's got a really bad history with quinsy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, apparently they're really rare to get one.
Yeah.
Well, she's had 2.
Oh, gee.
And she thought the third one was coming. And yesterday we were all prepared. Rolo went to mother-in-law. We were all prepared for another hospital visit. And it seems as though the antibiotics on this occasion kicked in yesterday afternoon, but she's no better today than she was yesterday afternoon. So I'm doing all the school runs, and I've got literally just arranged a meeting schedule. So I'm totally back to back today, and I'm going to go in tomorrow as well, just to kind of cover things off, which is pretty unusual for me.
That's very unusual.
I'm supposed to be very part-time these days. I'm supposed to retire and be doing pajamas all day every day. It's not really happening that way. I have to do the day job. So yeah, it's all been a little bit crazy. Oh, and father-in-law's still here 5 months later. And bless him, you know what? He's desperately trying to help. And then he said yesterday afternoon, "Oh, I'm not feeling too good." I'm like,
no.
"Oh, do not start me on this." Anyway, this morning he seems all right.
Okay.
So we don't know what happens next, but fingers crossed we are over the worst.
Man.
If not, I'm going to jump off the nearest building, I think. That's a joke, by the way. But no, not really. I'm all right. But it's been testing. Let's put it that way.
I mean, not only do we have this global pandemic, we've got normal life.
Yeah.
People do get colds. They do get throat stuff. Stuff happens.
And none of it's been COVID, which is just
No.
ridiculous. So Dylan, bless him, had 3 tests in 10 days. And
now he's okay.
all negative, and yeah, fingers crossed. Mind you, we just had you say discussion, don't you, between husband and wife? You don't have arguments. We had a discussion about whether or not he would be doing PE today, which I find just ridiculous. His X-ray, like 5 or 6 days ago, was totally white. His lungs are totally white, you know? Anyway, Natalie's decided he is doing that, and she has the last call on health issues.
Okay, all
I
right.
haven't got a clue.
All right.
However, wait and see.
Yeah.
And relax. Nice one, James. Thank you for that. Shall we get back to business?
Take the deep breaths.
It is. It's deep breath day.
So I want to jump back on the father-in-law. I know this is not on the notes, but the father-in-law and yourself were working on the shed.
Yes.
Is the shed now finished?
Pretty much. The only thing.
Hold on. It's been at least 2 months.
No, it hasn't.
Since
it's been 4.
No, but since we spoke about the shed, it's been 2 months.
Yes.
It's almost finished? He's been around there for 5 months.
No, it's not his fault. It's mine entirely. Okay. So where we're at is the thing is finished and it's watertight, but
and truth be told, we haven't had any rain in a year, so that's good.
Thank goodness. We were very lucky. The only thing that is left was we were struggling to get any decent roofing materials.
Oh.
So they're just not available here. Eventually, I found a supplier in Ras Al Khaimah.
What are we talking for roofing materials? Just some tar sheets and some shingles?
Yeah. Well, no, you can't get shingles here.
Asphalt shingles are not available?
No, not available at
Really?
all. Yes.
That's strange.
Yeah. So we got asphalt roll in the end, but the problem is we desperately want to do it with clout nails and just galv nails.
Yeah.
Not available.
This has been like 20 years. I remember at one point, come from Canada. If you're going to use a little bit of roofing or some nails, you're going to, I like using nails. And galvanized nails are the bomb. Try finding them here.
Yes.
I was left scratching my head.
Yeah, we are. We are in the middle of all that.
There are none.
You know what? It may well get to the stage where, because I am doing it with clout nails, I may well have to import clout nails, but I'm doing it.
Okay.
There's no two ways about it.
All right.
So, would they get through customs? Would they think it was dodgy?
They're going to come packaged in a box.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're nails.
I know, but then you think of the 80s, and especially with and what nails used to do. Okay, I'll have a think on that.
But you know what? You'll know when you're getting them shipped in. If they don't leave where they're being shipped from.
Yes, that's a good point.
Then I've ordered stuff before like that, which suddenly you can get hot sauce again. I got some Old Bay hot sauce. Old Bay actually Old Bay. It's a nice spice out of the U.S. Old Bay spice, beautiful with clammy things and meat. You should check it out online. Old B-A-Y, Old Bay. But Old Bay has now come out with a hot sauce. And they made an initial batch. They thought, hey, let's try it. And then it sold out instantly. And now they started selling Old Bay hot sauce. And of course, I needed some Old Bay. I use a lot of Old Bay.
I get that.
So I needed some. So I ordered it. And my wife said, I wonder if it's going to come in. Because it's a liquid. And the bottle was small enough, but they shipped it. They did courier it through. So
nice.
So if things aren't going to come through, because I've had this happen before, it gets blocked right at the shipping source, and they just say, yeah, sorry,
that's good
this
to
is
know.
not going to ship through.
Oh, lovely. Well, we'll try that. So I sent off a driver. I mean, literally, our purchasing team has got their head in their hands at the moment because the ridiculous things that I asked for. And bless them, they get a little bit, I think they get a little bit worried that if they make me wait. I always say, look, this is not urgent. Whenever they've got time, whatever. Anyway, 24 hours later.
Have you got it?
It's arrived. Oh, yes. You know, we pulled 50 jobs. I'm like, what? No. But yeah, so off to Russell came and went to our driver and picked it up for me. And father-in-law's already got it cut.
Oh, good.
But it's just these clamp mounts that I desperately need. And you know, we
Nothing
can glue it. But
nothing at Dragon Mart?
not on my normal supplier. Yeah, it's a struggle. Yeah. It's a real struggle. To be honest, with everything else that's going on, I really haven't focused on it either. So I literally threw it at the purchasing girls. They couldn't find them, and we'll take it from there once things settle down a bit. I think. Yeah. Like you say, I think we're over the worst of the rainy season now. Fingers crossed. I'll get ready for it. It's going to happen, isn't it? Blue sky.
I don't know.
Give it back by the end of this. Do you remember that one at the university?
Yes.
So we had one, listeners. We had one.
Like a year ago, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. No, because it was during the pandemic, wasn't it? Was it pandemic?
No, not yet.
No, it was before.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that day I was selling a Fiat 500 from our work fleet. So I drove it to the university where James works, and it was great.
It was a beautiful day.
It was a lovely day. Went in, and then I've never seen a storm like it in Dubai, and I've seen some storms, all right. Yeah. But it was just insane. And then I was like, wow, this is brilliant, James. Look out the window, isn't this crazy? And then suddenly the memory dawned. Oh my word, I'm in a Fiat 500. And literally suddenly, there were big enough like puddles there to have engulfed it.
It floods. When you see on the signs here, one of the things you'll see on the signs when it rains is beware of ponds. And I've always thought ponds. And then you look at these puddles, they're small lakes. Yes. They are a pond.
Yeah. But I had one where I was feeling quite proud of myself by the time I got back onto Emirates Road coming back. And then, so there wasn't much on the road, as you can imagine. Yeah. So at that point, I was going a fair lick, and then I hit a lake. Oh. And thank goodness, my kind of memory of how to drive in these conditions from the UK kicked in, and just didn't hit anything, kept it totally straight, and thank goodness we came out the other side. But that was the memory of, my goodness, it's been that long since you've driven in rain that you've kind of forgotten the basics.
It's when you hit one of these big puddles and you know, okay, just no braking, don't do anything, but your windshield also gets covered.
Isn't that scary?
And at that moment, you don't know, what are the cars beside me doing?
Yes.
And not that you could do anything anyway, because any movement is just going to cause you to go into peril. Yeah. But I always find that just terrifying for 2 seconds as I clear the windshield to see what's going on around me.
Well, boy, did I slow down after that, that's for sure. Yeah. And I sold the car that day. Because by the afternoon, it was totally dry again. Yeah. Which is just nuts. But that was a classic one, wasn't it?
The other one we were talking about as we were warming up here was water, boreholes, and boreholes used to be really popular in the UAE, and I know that there are some places where people still do them. I think they're illegal. I don't think. I
think they are as well.
So I don't think you should be doing.
But then I think there is a rule, or there definitely used to be a rule, which was it was different for expats versus locals. Okay. There definitely was that rule at some point, because we had customers in the early days that had them. Right. And obviously the water that comes up is salty. Or to varying levels, so that will have an effect on people's gardens.
That's a huge issue, depending on where you are and the level of that water, and there's all sorts of things.
But then the other thing is the water table in the ranches where I am is ridiculously high, and in that area they have the same issues as well. So you'd have thought they'd be all for it, wouldn't you? Yeah. Get as much out as you can, as much evaporation as you can manage, please. But that's not the case at all.
So the big question always comes down to, and I know we've got a little patch of grass in the back of our place that is watered from the DWA tap, so I pay for it. Yes. And I do everything I can to manage it. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's Gulf Green quality, but it's also not dead. So it's
practical.
It's very practical, and it's basically me and the dog who go and walk around on it. So and the dog is very polite, so he doesn't go to the washroom on the grass. He goes in the sand. I've got a sand area beside him. Yeah, I know. He's smart. He says, I'm not going on the grass. I like to roll on the grass. It's like, smart man.
I need to bring Rolo over. Just do some learning, dog.
Now, and at this time of the year, I use a push mower. So because, I mean, it's not a large piece of grass, but it probably takes me 20 minutes to do the push mower across it, just because it's very gentle on the grass, and as opposed to the gas mower or the electric mower that's just and it's harsh. They're harsh.
They are, but I love a gas mower.
Me too.
I used to mow constantly. We had quite a big garden and a really ancient mount field, an M4 Minor no less, which was from the early 70s vintage.
Muffler or no muffler on it?
There was a muffler, but it didn't work.
Okay. So it was a loud bum, 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 bum,
Dad used to
bum.
rebuild it. Dad used to rebuild it every 8 or 9 years, and it got to the stage where if you could start that, you could start anything. Which I used to go around to my friends' houses and then have big ride-on mowers. Oh, we've got a flat battery. Stand back. I can hand start this. The look on the parents' faces when this little 8-year-old has just hand started this enormous mower. But the thing with that thing was that you literally got such a good understanding of engines and how they all work. And Dad got free labour. That was the whole deal.
Nice.
I used to love it. So then I did all the neighbours.
Of course.
Had the whole of the hand bridge where we lived. And then because you could hear me on the whole estate, which was 125 houses, next thing you know, I had that alongside my car washing business. So
nice.
We're different people. So I then taught other people to start Dad's lawnmower. So they would do that while I was car washing. We always had something on the go.
Oh, man.
It's bizarre how you end up as a business owner, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, where did that come from? Well, it started quite early.
So this all leads into the idea of maybe for finance reasons, maybe for aesthetic reasons, maybe just because not actually having real turf, but going for artificial. And you've lived in both lands.
Yes, I have. Yeah. So the last place was traditional turf, and a lot of traditional turf. It was about 20,000 square feet, which was one of the biggest plots in the ranches. It was enormous. And then this one is about 10 and a half to 11, which is artificial. Okay. So we were really against artificial.
Why?
Previously.
What was going on in the mind?
We were thinking hot.
Yeah, that's exactly.
The dog won't like it.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And what else? Oh, and then the kids, in terms of playing, we thought if they fall down on it, it's going to have more
grazing,
more impact. Yeah. But then when we moved to the new place, it needed lots of things moving around, but we didn't really need to redo much of the area apart from moving grass in different locations. So we kind of decided we would just roll with it and see how it went. Excuse the horrific pun. And so it's turned out really well. Okay. Quite a surprise. We've only done the one summer. I mean, we moved in July, I think.
That's still hot. That's a hot period of the year.
It was. And it is hot, and it does smell a bit, which is odd.
Oh, it smells kind of like that plasticky
smell. Yeah. So it is cooking. We're very clear on that. Yeah. But it was fine. And the other thing that we weren't expecting.
Was it pretty new, this roll of stuff, or is it pretty old?
I don't think it is. I think it's been there probably 3 years.
So it's got some longevity.
Yeah, but the real surprise was the mosquito, or lack of, which was massive for us, because the ranches has a general problem with mosquitoes.
Because you cut down on the bugs.
Yeah, and it really cuts down on the bugs by a long, long way. So that's proved to be great. Rolo isn't as bothered by it as we expected. Mind you, he was really small when we moved, so he didn't really know that much different. But he's been fine with it, really. As long as he gets to chase something, he's over the moon. And the little, what do they call those little grouse-like birds that are prevalent here? You know those?
Yeah, I know.
We've got a family of those that have moved in. Okay. Living under the barbecue now. And,
under the barbecue.
Yeah, with four. Well, there were 4 really small chicks.
I think they are guinea fowl.
Are they?
I think they are.
Oh, okay.
Pheasants?
Well, we're down to 2 now.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
the dogs.
well, Rollo's had 1 in his mouth, but we got it out.
Okay.
But then along the way, 2 have gone. And then Ruby walked in the wrong direction yesterday with Rollo while I was busy watering the plants. And they split, and 1 went straight into the pool. So then I'm like, drop everything. We've got to get this one out of the pool. Anyway, got him out of the pool, scarpered off. Rollo thought all of his Sundays were coming at once here as he had birds in all directions. And I think it survived it. I think we're all right. But it was a bit of a moment. So anyway, getting back to it. So there's that. Now, the other side of things was that in the last place, it was a bit more that forgiving one is kind of important. We've had probably more accidents in the current garden than the last one, because if you land on grass and grass that has been watered, it tends to be quite soft. I've had a few graze injuries and that kind of thing, with the kids going crazy. So yeah, it's a bit swings and roundabouts really. If we were starting again. Oh, it would be an absolute toss-up. We need to have a long,
that was the question. If you had the choice,
discussion.
Do you seed, put in grass? Do you keep the AstroTurf?
That was really difficult because...
Is AstroTurf what people call it? I mean, that's a North American term.
I think that's a brand, isn't it?
I think AstroTurf is a brand,
Just go for fake grass.
Fake grass.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it would depend very much on the space concerned. The current place, the way we use it, actually works quite well the way it is. In the last place, if you were getting a quote to get 20,000 square foot of fake grass, that's going to be huge. So gut feel is we were probably in that situation, and we'll probably do again what we've done.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the overall feel, I think.
Easy to clean? There's no real cleaning, is there? Do you
spray it?
Spray it down?
There's a real great outfit, Red Lynx here, which does basically an odour clean on those. And obviously if you do have pets, then they can get quite smelly. But also it's all sprayed down, so they fully spray the thing down to get it back. And then they've got one of these powered lawn rakes. I want one of those. I don't need it, but I want one. Which basically
just adjust that microphone on your lapel there, whatever reason.
Oh, has it gone inside?
Yeah, some reason. I don't know.
He's got a whole load of chest hair. Does that look about right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool. It's gone again, isn't it?
No, that's good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So what they do is they lift the pile. On these, what kills them is if they go flat, then at that point, it all goes badly wrong. Once you lift the pile again, then they basically air and things can drain better, and then basically they don't rot.
Do these have the little rubber kernels? Does yours have these little? No, okay.
No, those tend to be used, I think, on more sports fields. They have those at Dillon's school, and that tends to work really well. So again, fake grass here. If you'd have thought playing football and that kind of thing, but people can do sliding tackles on there without coming up with the rashes that we got in the 80s doing the same.
Yeah, nicely padded.
Yes, they are. Yeah. So I think they're a little bit higher grade than the ones that are used domestically on the whole.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Last thing, and this is actually number 4 on our list, is it's sunshade time again. And I've had a lot of people talking about, so I had a few people moving over in Town Square area, and they're looking at their yard space. And Town Square, typically, if you're in a villa or a row house, whatever they're calling them, you've got that little backyard space, probably about the size of this room.
Yes.
And AstroTurf, fake grass, little garden, lots of sun. And so people are talking sunshades. And one person was talking to me and they said, I'm just going to call an outfit to do it. And I said, why don't you go check Ace?
See, this is the thing. There are plenty of outfits that will custom make you something. Yeah. I just don't believe in them, in all truth. I've seen that many failures. Yeah. And these are specialist companies that are producing these. Yeah. And then instead, you've got the standard fit Coolaroo, which are sold by both by Ace or SpeedX, that are miles better quality. I've got a 12-year-old Coolaroo. Actually, interesting enough, we're not using it at the moment. I've just got, because
You're the Coolaroo guy.
I am the Coolaroo guy. However, I have now 5 Coolaroos in the garden, and also I've just installed an electric pull-out as well. So we've got 6 sail shades in our garden, so I'm doing all right. Yeah. But I decided to buy new 3.6 metre triangular grey ones, which we've kind of zigzagged over each other, which is now kind of a play area with a table tennis table and whatever that the kids can mess about with. That's around the side of the house. And then the entertainment area that originally we were talking about putting posts in and getting a fixed sail shade. We realised that the only place for the post to go to make it remotely work was in the middle of the swimming pool. So
it ain't gonna happen. That's gonna be weird.
Gonna happen. So as a result, the only real option was to get one of these electric numbers. Took the company 2 goes to get it right. It was the biggest one they do. It's a 15 square metre electric retractable. And the first time they did it, there was just huge amounts of bow in it, and kind of it didn't fold right. And it took them a little bit of time to realise the error of their ways. Let's put it that way. Second time around, they aced it. It's absolutely fine. And luckily, I'd only paid 50% up front, so they had no option but to, you want to see your money? Let's get it right this time, boys.
So you've got the Coolaroos, you've got the electric sail. This is where I need your help.
Okay, so town square for me would be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
The Coolaroos come either in 3.6 metre triangular or square, or 5.4 metre, I think. Right. There's very few spaces that can't work with that, without a doubt. Interestingly enough, I've also just done the Coolaroo scenario again for my mother-in-law.
That's right, because she had the
so I did those in the middle. If you remember, I put those up originally in the middle of a storm.
Of course.
My fastest ever, hugely proud of it. But the walls in Mira are made of cheese. And especially the garden walls that don't have the rebar where they should have rebar. Yeah, as we've found as they've pulled out. So now the solution that I've used is, do you know the brackets that they have for hanging like those cane chairs?
Yes.
So what they have is, instead of it just being a single expansion bolt that goes in, they basically have like a hoop on a solid back plate where basically you can use 2 screws to basically put in all 4.
Right.
Okay.
So good for a punching bag.
Yes, punching bags are exactly the same fitting. So what we've done is I've got one of those, and then I basically arranged, the boys did it, not me, let's be honest this time around. I arranged them to basically move it along the wall, make the repair on the area that's where it pulled out, and we'll see how that goes this time around. But it was the high winds from a couple of days ago. Actually, we had it again yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, it was crazy yesterday.
But a few days ago we had some high winds that had just blown it, and I had 2 Coolaroos attached to this one point. So now I'm like, right, well, I've doubled the amount of purchase in that wall, so fingers crossed it will actually hold this time. But it did 3 years, I guess, so it's not the end of the world, but I would like a permanent solution. Yeah. But again, the other end, I'm thinking, well, I know the house really was not that great either in terms of, I don't know what they used, but it's really narrow hollow block or something.
Really interesting.
Really bizarre.
Are those homes? Are those all the prefab units?
No.
Okay.
Prefab is great for that, because with prefab you've got like such density cement that's used and shed loads of rebar. Because if you imagine, they've got to physically move it.
It's just the joints on those prefab places.
The joints are dodgy, and our current place is exactly the same as all the others. The panels themselves, you need a heck of a drill to get through it, without a doubt. And we do a lot of that.
I've got a 15-year-old manual sunshade, one of those like you.
Brilliant.
Now the problem with it, and it's great. It's 15 years old.
It's great.
Can you imagine? Never been replaced. Nothing's been done to it. It's canvas. The canvas after 15 years needs to be replaced.
That's easy.
It's gotten brittle. Who do I go to?
Any of the shading company or anyone that actually does. You know how these companies actually operate, which is they buy in the mechanisms and they physically do the canvas themselves.
You got a recommendation? Your guys?
Well,
okay.
We got there.
Yeah.
We got there.
Because there is a name on it. I haven't called it, but there is a name on it, and it is a Dubai number, and probably they still exist. But I've never used any of these companies, so I have no idea who to randomly call up.
I wouldn't be able to give them a glowing recommendation in truth, because it was painful along the way.
Okay.
The end result, we got there.
Yeah.
But it's even the basics. It's even the basics of, we didn't realise we were installing it at this height. Well, wait a second, your guys have already been round to survey it. Oh yeah, have you got a ladder?
Oh no, that's all right.
Come on, boys, seriously? And we're like, my boys, if my boys were installing it with no knowledge, 2 hours. These guys, a day.
Oh man.
Like, really? All right. So in the end, and by the way, we can't do the electrics to the connection. What? Okay, I'll bring my own electrician. Oh great, that's good news. How do you do this in normal people's homes that don't own a maintenance company?
Yeah.
This is the frustration.
Okay.
So now we have a lovely sail shade, but the work along the way was slightly ridiculous.
Yeah.
But there are loads. Literally, I wouldn't even necessarily get focused on the brand of person that's there, because the brand that's on it, because these are standard, very much standardised fittings.
Yeah.
And the canvas is the easy bit.
Yeah,
I don't think
like that's
that'd
all
be
that
any
it is.
problem whatsoever. And they'll bring you, I mean, literally, we had sheets upon sheets of options that we could use. And it's not even expensive for the canvas.
Right.
It's the mech where the...
So the mechanism works, and there's a couple of the elastics on the elbows that come out seem to have worn, but it works.
They should be able to do really easy refurb on it.
All right, so I'm gonna start looking into that, because it's gotten to the point with the last real wind. It's like, okay, yeah, this canvas it's brittle. The canvas is now just brittle.
Well, it will be, because if you imagine, it's plasticized.
Yeah.
And over time,
15 years.
It's obviously UV stabilized, but at the same time, 15 years is a heck of a period.
I've had a good run. I've had a really good run with it. So,
you have.
And I really like these.
Me too. I really love them as well. The one problem that we've got is we weren't clever with well, no, it wasn't that we weren't clever. We were unfortunate with the location. So when it's not summer with the what's the word I'm looking for? The sun. Difficult. Well done, Colin. The sun high in the air. We kind of have that period kind of from 3 o'clock onwards where it gets a little bit in your face, even though we've got quite a long way coming down.
Yeah,
but
I've got one.
Just
That's
no
exactly
way
what
around
happens
that.
with mine.
There's no way around it, really, because the aspect of your house is the aspect of your house.
Well, and that's where my wife was looking at it. She's going, maybe we could just put a sail shade in. And I said, we could take this off and put the sail shade in. But I looked at her and I said, what are we going to affix it to? Because we've got that little patch of paving stones where we've got our table and it comes out of the back. And then I've got trees that I've trimmed. And I said, I guess we could we're going to have to put in a post, or maybe I could affix it to the tree. I said, oh, this is not sounding good. Why don't we just fix this?
Yes, it is one of those. I mean, I got 4 posts from a lady in Garhoud, a local lady who was lovely. The one problem that she didn't tell me was the 4 posts that she was selling me were still in the ground in cement.
No!
Thank you for that.
What did you do? Just bring the patrol and pull them out with a chain?
Well, I'd sent the boys.
They put it on the old transit and pulled it out with a chain?
They sent me the video, and I went, oh, I'm so sorry. Right, okay, just leave it. It's fine. I'll work around it. They said, oh no, we'll get it out. I'm like, what? Have you got an impact with you? No, we're going to use a hammer and chisel. And bless them, they did. 4 of them. So it took about 2 hours to get them all out.
Wow.
Chipped off all of the cement on them, and then I got them worked on and powder coated and whatnot. They are mint now. They're absolutely brilliant. So that's gone very, very well. But again, the problem is if you're getting things custom fabricated, it tends to be that if you adapt, it's much cheaper than getting custom fabrication done. So I knew that if I picked all these up, and they were extremely cheap, even with the amends that I need to do, I need to move the brackets in the opposite direction to be able to get them to attach to the wall, and I wanted to change the connection points. But I knew it would end up miles cheaper. So, the 4 poles in the end, all done, ended up at about 1,000 dirhams, which I was very happy with. And they've been wonderful in the area. So it's really worked out well. But again, you've got to kind of plan ahead and look for these kind of bargains. And, as you know, I live on Dubizzle anyway. So it's all part of my sport.
You seen any little sport kayaks for the waves on Dubizzle? I got to get you to keep your eyes open for me.
I saw a gentleman selling an inflatable.
No. I don't do the inflatable. I don't do the inflatable ones. I'm just looking for one of these hard plastic ones that you see at the hotels.
No, I've got it. But I don't understand the C side of that. Is it just the more pointed than the traditional kayak?
No, I mean they're just kind of the sit on top ones. So you're not in it.
I get it. So you have the point for your feet on it, rather than it being a spray deck and double. Right. Yes. Those come up every few months.
I got to keep your eyes on that for me.
Because
I'm figuring people, I've got the stand-up paddleboard. I got a vintage stand-up paddleboard, which Gen 1 of stand-up paddleboards that is still looking epic. It's purple and yellow and
lovely.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a little older, and as much as I love paddleboarding, and I do, I'll be out there when it's a little wavy, and I'm quite frankly, wavy and paddleboard, it's way more work than I want to invest. And that's when I'm looking, I'm going, it would be nice if I just had a little kayak that you could go out there, ride some waves, come back.
I used to love kayaking. I used to love it, but my back won't do it anymore. Absolutely kills me. So unfortunately, even at the hotel, just going out with the kids.
So I'm figuring, as you're on Dubizzle, I'm figuring there's got to be a lot of people who buy these, best of intention, and then they sit in their garage and they think, I just got to get rid of this thing.
It's those people, and also the time when you really want it is when they've got to leave the country.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
At this time of the year, so it's hot.
I need you to keep your eye open. If you see one, let me know.
I'll send it to you.
I absolutely need to get one of these because it's, away we go.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be easy.
Yeah, crazy times. Here's an interesting one. It's got nothing to do with our list, but I want to talk about the jobber, the jack of all trades.
I love this.
But before we get there, interesting thing happened in my neighborhood in the last couple of days. So I live close to your number 6 client.
Yes.
In that region.
Yeah.
And very close to the Chippy in Murdiff is where I live actually.
There is not a better place in Dubai
now,
to live.
You know what's nice? The Chippy in Murdiff, where you could get your mushy peas and all that stuff. Literally 100 feet from there is a falafel joint where they make it fresh on the spot. And I'm thinking, falafel dipped in some mushy peas.
That can work.
That'd be work. So maybe next time you guys are around, we'll do the Chippy, we'll do, if you're just drop me a WhatsApp, hey, I'm in Murdiff.
Yeah.
And we can meet over at the Chippy.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'd be well up for that. That sounds like a plan.
But the cool
Jack
thing
hear
is,
that.
the funny thing is, I'm just out and about doing the dog walk the other day, and I noticed there's like new speed humps going in. One of them just came out of nowhere. They've put in 3 new speed humps on one of the roads.
You mean to tell me that the Murdiff racetrack is no more?
This little racetrack around where I live, it used to be a phenomenal racetrack. And then funny because I go out and there's 2 new ones. And I'm going, oh, this is interesting. When did they put these in? Because they weren't here yesterday. And then I'm jogging back with the dog back the other way, take another little shortcut, and I go, oh, here's a roller. I wonder what this guy's got planned. By the end of the day, there's another speed hump. So where there used to be none, and if someone could just, get screaming around the corners, now there's 3. And at least they painted them so people can see that they're there. But you could see people, because then you set up a lawn chair and just watch as people are coming towards them because they don't realize.
First day.
Yeah, they're going, what's that up ahead? Is it just the paint or is it for real? Oh no, it's for real.
Did you see the Beach Road video from about 6-7 years ago?
Yes.
When they first installed those enormous ones on Beach Road?
Yeah.
And cars were launched. It was unbelievable. My goodness. Well, people need to learn, don't they?
That's it. Oh man. One other thing. I'm going down the road of Simon Smedley.
Oh, you know.
Yeah. Getting the cabinets wrapped.
Oh, I thought you were going to dye your hair blonde again.
I couldn't believe he did. You know what? I got a picture sent to me from Nada Badran, Wander with Nada. If you're ever looking for a walking tour of Dubai and just cool stuff, Wander with Nada is what it's called.
Oh,
Get on
lovely.
it. Wonderful woman who, English, Arabic, she's fluent, French, I think she speaks German too. But she does walking tours of many of these parts of Dubai.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
And she'll take you through the fabric area, she'll take you through the Gold Street, but she's with you and she's talking about stuff. She's certified tour guide as well for the UAE.
Brilliant.
But she speaks the language. So suddenly, you've got someone who is, and she's just wonderful. Well, anyway, Nada sends me a picture from Dubai Eye Days, and I've got the blonde hair down to the shoulders. This is 5 years ago. And I'm just going, man, I miss that hair.
Come on, now, you rock the greys.
But it was down to the shoulder, bleach blonde. I had an animal from the Muppets on my shirt. I had a Hawaiian over top. I'm just going, I want that look again.
No.
But the problem
Moving on.
The problem is 15 years of bleach blonde hair and the finest out of the box because we used to do it at home. My wife did it for me. And then a friend of mine got cancer. She's cancer-free. She's a survivor. But when she got cancer and was going through chemo, a couple of us shaved our heads.
Nice.
And that's when it grew back in like this. And so
I think your hair rocks. I really do.
It is the good color.
Yeah,
it
is.
does work.
And the fact it's natural with all the different shades of grey is quite something, isn't it?
I had a woman stop me in the mall the other day asking me, excuse me, I gotta ask you a personal question. It's like, okay. That's the second time I've had that. I had an Emirati woman ask me the same thing. I gotta ask you a personal question. It's like, okay. She goes, what kind of hair product do you use? Your hair is so shiny. It's like, okay, I just use L'Oreal conditioner. Okay, thank you very much. This one stops me the other day. He goes, what color hair? Yeah. What color have you asked for to get that hair? And I'm going, this is natural. And she goes, oh, you're so lucky.
Brand pipe.
Yeah, she's going, you're so lucky. That is the color I want. And I'm just going, really?
I'm not surprised. It does rock. Yeah. Yeah. So don't think about dyeing it again, James. Rock what you got.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Where were we going with all that? Why did I get into that topic? Was there...
Who knows? Who cares? That's what this podcast is all about. Total randoms.
Well, we got the other one that is on the go. It's called Fresh Air with Friends, where I bring in cool clips from all of our shows. And it's yeah, Fresh Air with Friends. It's called.
That's nice.
It's starting.
I was about to say, I didn't think I'd seen that online yet.
No.
But it's coming.
Well, it's you know the challenge is. I mean, it's great. We sit down. We got a plan. We do it time, and I start to realize.
I don't know how you do it.
And it's the content's there, but it's not. And someone said, well, can't you just outsource it? Not really, because you've got to. And this is this is. And Simon would tell us this,
yes.
Because you got to create the content, then you got to link the content. And everyone says, "Oh, it's easy doing stuff on radio." No, it's not.
No, absolutely great.
Simon, I'm going down his route. That's how we got onto the gray hair.
Yeah.
So we were sitting in our kitchen the other day, and we're going, man, we just got these cabinets are killing us. They're 20 years old. And we're just going, oh. And we're looking at it, and we're going, do we really want to tear them out? And then we went down the route. I said, hey, Colin did IKEA. So we started looking at the IKEA things, and we started looking at that, and then we thought, okay, we'll just replace the doors, because IKEA's got great doors. Of course, the doors on our cabinets.
Different sizes.
Yeah. So the son's like, And then my wife's looking around, and I said, hey, I know a guy who got his cabinets wrapped.
Yes.
And so we started looking at that, and we found a couple of places to do it. And then I said, let me just send him a note. And gotta love Simon, because that guy, maybe it's just because I know him, maybe he's just like, but I send him a message, and I don't even think I have his phone number. I just communicate with him through like Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'll say, Simon, you got your cabinets wrapped, right? That was you.
Yes.
Are you happy with it? Because it's been at least a year. I said,
that's a good time frame.
Are you happy with it? And he just wrote back and says, it was spectacular, loved it. And I said, these are the two companies we're looking at. And he said, let me talk to the wife, find out which one we use. But I think it was this one. And
Creative Wrap are the guys I know.
Yeah, Creative Wrap, I think. Yeah. So we're
they're doing a promo on Dubai 92 at the moment.
Are they?
Yeah, 5,000 free of charge. It was literally as I came into the.
Really?
Yeah, get on Dubai 92.
I wonder what the lady's name is, because we got someone actually coming this afternoon to take a look around.
Okay.
So we're really excited to maybe go and the.
It's wear on handles. If you have rings and that kind of thing, that's the only real negative with it.
Okay.
Which is obviously it's a wrap. If you physically damage that wrap,
you're done
then you are done for.
Okay.
But I think it's a really good solution. I think a 4 to 5 year window is probably where you're at.
Well, so we kind of looked at it and thought, you know what, this will be a nice little tidy up. We can do something. And they even do backboards. They'll do backsplashes.
Yes, they do.
So I went, wow. And part of it was we'd had some water damage to a cabinet. So the cabinet guys from my landlord came in, and I actually had the manager come in the other day because we were renewing our lease and just doing a walk around. And I said, this is what your guys did. And she just looked at it and her jaw dropped. She just said, what? I said, that's the finished product. Which every time my wife and I look at it, we just don't look at the cabinet because it's just horrific.
Yes.
And even her jaw dropped. And that's when we just sort of said, we're just going to wrap these. I can't look at it anymore. So we'll see.
We've got, we're going again with IKEA for my brother-in-law and sister-in-law at the moment.
Nice.
They've gone to see the same lady, Dina, at IKEA Jebel Ali that we use.
Big shout out to Dina.
Oh man, she's incredible. I've got to say, wow. She is phenomenal. So they did the whole 3 hour sit down. I don't know how she does
3 hours?
it. But also it's free of charge.
3 hours?
Yeah, I know.
Like Dina just blocks off 3 hours and they sit down and go through?
You need to book her, that's for sure. But it's 3 hours to do a kitchen. And but her level of detail is just incredible.
Yeah.
And so they're very close to where they need to be. So fingers crossed they will get theirs all ripped out. They're doing new floors as well, so that should be entertaining. Yes. We'll see whether or not they use our guys, not our guys personally, but the contracts that I use, or their own people. And they're using the same flooring. Do you remember the flooring that we put down in the dining room? Well, they absolutely love it. So they've got the supplier for that, and that's what's going down in theirs.
I haven't seen that floor, but if I need new tile, I'll probably get that one myself, since you already have the supplier. It's tried, true, and tested.
And it's cheap. 50 dirhams a square metre is just incredible on supply. It's just a question of getting it down. But again, we've got good people for that now, so not too difficult to do.
The jobber, the jack of all trades versus the specialist.
This is a fascinating one. This really got me thinking, because there's that natural jack of all trades, master of none scenario that we all grew up with. Yeah. And then I suddenly thought, well, WeWillFixIt could be thrown into that kind of sphere, and how do I feel about that? And the answer was not very good. So I then thought about it a little bit more and thought, this is really odd, because actually that's exactly what we're not. And the reason is simple, which is we send a specialist to every job. We just have lots of specialists in different areas.
Exactly.
And the biggest part of the job that we try and teach our bookings team is to understand the skills of all of our guys, who are all matrixed on every job and with their development to cover more things. But the idea is that we send a specialist to every job so that we are successful at it. And if we are not, if we are at the stage where we are testing our skills too far, then we will walk away from a job. And so
because you guys are not. So the thing is, I get these cards, and this is what the preface to this is. I get this card that says we do painting, we do air conditioning, we do motors, we do this. It's here's the number, and I'm suspecting there's 4 guys with a van.
Yes.
And they're going to come, and they're good at the basic. Anything outside of that, I'm figuring they learn as they go. And maybe they've done it once, and hey, it didn't quite work, and we're going to alter it again. And that's the jack of all trades. They kind of learn on the go, and maybe they've got an aptitude. You guys are the opposite.
We are, but then if you imagine from the exterior perception, they're a general maintenance company. Yeah, exactly. And so that really got me thinking today that maybe we've got a little bit of additional communication we need to do to explain how, as a company that covers lots of different bases and services, we actually are specialists in all of them and not a jack of all trades. But then the article that you sent through was fascinating, because it also talks about jack of all trades on a personal perspective.
Yes.
Which is, what it actually means is, as an individual, that you are adaptable, resourceful and capable.
And you can learn.
Yeah, and you can learn. And it's learning how to learn, which is really classic. And I suddenly thought, you know what, that kind of really sings to me. But one of the things that they stated, which I totally agree in, is you have to start off with a core specialist knowledge in a particular area to be able to build from. And that's really that key, isn't it? Which is, if you don't have a core of knowledge in one area, you don't have a heartland to stretch from. You are stretching in any direction. And I really love that as a concept, and that's very much where we want to be.
Well, look, and I think, as I understand, the tradesmen who work in your company, they all come with that trade.
Yes.
And so they're already familiar with the workings of, working with their hands, thinking through these problems. They don't tend to stretch very far past that, but you do get guys who train to, who decide, hey, I want to upgrade my training and I want to go in a different direction.
The longer they're with us, the wider that we will push that stretch. But the sign-off that we go through and the training that they receive from us is beyond most things that most companies would have, to say the least. But there is never going to be a scenario where one of our DIY guys is going to go over and become an AC tech, because they don't have 3 years of training and technical training to be able to do that.
Do you ever get guys, though, who want to apprentice to become AC techs and say, hey, I'm within the company? And
I simply wouldn't let it
You won't
happen.
do it? It doesn't happen?
No,
Okay.
They need to have that training within an educational environment.
Okay. So they need to apprentice as an AC tech.
Exactly. But it's not, it has to be a classroom environment. You cannot just do it on the tools, because you end up with such bad habits. And secondly, some of the shortcuts that are just too risky and sketchy for us to ever even consider. And probably the third one is, a lot of these guys will learn by trial and error,
Yeah.
in which case that's your property and your trial and error, and the disasters will be left on your roof with you not knowing any better.
You know what? I've seen this over and over again. That's why I asked the question. As I've seen people who come, they work for an AC company, they've got the shirt,
Yep.
and if you've been with the company long enough, you've seen them come as the gopher guy,
Yep.
till finally they're coming as the lead guy, and you're kind of going, but you didn't have the training before. You've learned now on the job, you've learned the bad habits on the job. Are you actually certified to do the job? And do you want a certified mechanic working on your car, or do you want a guy who's working on who's got no actual training on that? They might be good at it, they might have learned along the road, but do they really know what they're doing?
I know. Well, we faced this scenario with one of our drivers who was offered a 40% increase to become to go to another company as an AC tech. We actually found this out some way down the line, and he decided he would do it. Okay, he went back to the Philippines, did a 1 month course.
1 month.
1 month, not 3 years, 1 month, during his holiday, and then went to this other company. He survived. It was a month and a half, I think, he survived there, and spent the whole time on the phone to our AC techs. In the end, we said to them, anyone answering the phone to so-and-so is going to have a problem with us because you're wasting company time. Yeah. We are not here to support him anymore. We suggested, as soon as we found out that that was his plan, we suggested to him what an insane idea that was. But you can understand, he's just looking to support his family. Yeah. I get it, but you've got to start off with the core knowledge, which he didn't have.
So what happened to the guy in the end?
He got fired and he's now a driver again somewhere.
Yikes. Thinking.
Thank goodness he didn't. You know, he was dealing with three-phase electrics. Thank goodness. And we care for the guy. He was with us for quite a while beforehand. Yeah. But thank goodness he didn't kill himself. And it is a perfectly feasible scenario that would happen. Yeah. Utterly insane thing to do.
I was looking at water tank cleaning. And interesting. Did you know that you've had 576 Google reviews?
I did after you mentioned it, and I checked.
and the reason I looked at that is as I was looking at water tank cleaning and certified by the municipality in Dubai, it has a list of all of the companies. Of course, you guys are at the top of that list.
Yes.
And beside the list, because I was doing it in Google, it has the number of reviews. And the first thing I did as a customer is I'm thinking, okay, hold on a second. I'm looking to see, where are we on the star system? How many reviews are there? And the guy who has 12 reviews, I went, well, I'm not even going to call them because how do I know what they're doing? And you guys were miles ahead in the reviews.
It's great, but if you imagine, we're doing 120 to 160 jobs a day, and so with WeWillFixIt, the one that really I'm loving is Essential Maintenance. Our brand for annual maintenance contracts, which it's only at 40 reviews, but they're 5.0. Every single one of them is 5.0, which is just what you want. It's a maintenance business, things go wrong, and we understand that normally, and so you're going to get some people who, instead of reaching out and trying to resolve something, which we always want to do, when something breaks, they say, oh, well, in which case they were rubbish, 1 star. Just sit there with your head in your hands going, why? It's maintenance. There's going to be things that are not going to be, we would have no idea about. And it happens now and again. So we're sitting at 4.6 currently for WeWillFixIt, which when you look at the market, those people that haven't just got reviews from their friends is great. We always want to strive for better. Yeah. And the difficulty is when you and we have the right to reply, we have no interest in rubbishing a review online like many people might do. But when either we cannot find the customer details because they've signed in another name or their wife booked it or whatever else. And secondly, when we ask them to then get in touch with us so we can resolve their problem, when they don't do that, that's the real frustration. Yeah. So it's the wonders of the modern age and social media and how you deal with it. And, and at this time of year, it's at its most prevalent. People are particularly irritated when it just gets warm and everything's gone bang. Yeah. And we've got plenty to deal with at the moment to make sure that we keep our customers feeling just as important and special as they are.
Well, this whole thing came down to make sure you get your water tank cleaned.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a no-brainer. If you imagine...
A lot of people don't, though.
Yeah, I had a guy, I can't believe this, I had a guy online this week, he said, it's an absolute joke, these people who think you need to do tank cleaning. It's a complete lie, isn't it? Aiming it directly at me. Yeah. I was living in the Arabian ranches for 9 years, never got my tank cleaned once, and it looks really clean. Anyway, so I then said, well, first things first, fantastic. Really glad that you've obviously got a very good fitting top. So physically, it is staying clean within that environment. But I'm telling you what, after 9 years, there is no way that bacterially your units are clean, and that bacterial count will only go one way if you haven't cleaned it. Yeah. So the actual recommendation from Dubai municipality, the word I always struggle with, is every 6 months. Personally, I don't think it needs to be done that often, unless there is some third-party factor that makes it worse. Yeah. But an annual clean makes total sense. And if it's done correctly, so for us, we have DM approval, I'm not going to say that word again, for our tank cleaning methodology, which is approved by them, so we have to follow it step by step. That is like an obliteration of bacteria. It is not touch and go. It's not something where it needs to be tested afterwards to work out whether or not we got it. No, it's utterly obliterated. But the method is designed to work so that it's safe as well as an obliteration. So it works really, really well. Other people who either, if you feel as though you want to take that risk, then go for it, don't clean it. Secondly, just have a quick look in your tank as a start point. He was very lucky, this gentleman, by not having bacterial growth. It means that maybe he's in an area that is quite close to de-resource.
Well, the other side is, if you ever have anything replaced on the tank, the float, if the valve goes at the bottom and the guys drain it and then have to climb in, did they clean it after? Well, they've got their feet in there, they've got their body in there, they are contaminating the water source. Are you willing to drink the water? You fill up a pitcher of water and you put your toe in it. Are you going to drink that water? I doubt it. Well, there you go.
It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one, but without a doubt, it's a no-brainer for me. I'm a family guy, and it's difficult because yes, I'm there selling these services, but at the same time, I kind of know the sensible things to do as well. If I'm going to do it on my own property, then I'll kind of suggest to people it's needed.
I wonder why, because the Dubai municipality is this is what they suggest. They recommend this. It's so many rental properties. I wonder why they don't make it a mandatory action for landlords to do this on a yearly basis.
I think it's simple because they can't inspect on the level that would be required to instigate that. So it's one of those which is a recommendation and not more than that. But again, 6 months, if you imagine they push everything together, so that would include restaurants and hotels as well under that 6 monthly period, which is probably a lot more required than just a domestic dwelling. So I think if they got to the stage of getting serious about it, they would probably split that out and give domestics a different side.
They seem to be going that way with everything.
Yeah, true.
How's the therapy session been?
Brilliant. James, I will pay you afterwards. Whatever you ask for, I'll double it. It's greatly appreciated.
We'll pick up where we left off next time. That's a wrap. Thank you very much, Colin.
Always a pleasure.
Colin Thomas from Essential Maintenance and We Will Fix It Dubai, the podcast, the We Will Fix It podcast, coming to you from the Rove Hotel downtown Dubai's epic podcast studio. We'll do it all again really soon. Get in touch. Podaholics@gmail.com. We'll talk to you real soon. So long for now.